Hello everyone, welcome to video lecture series of Computer Organization and Architecture. Today's topic is Centralized Bus Arbitration. In this video, I'll be telling you what do you mean by bus arbitration, what is bus master, what is bus arbiter. All of these terms I'll be talking about. Along with that, I will tell you the classification of bus arbitration, and one of the technique is the centralized bus arbitration, which is about this particular video. So let us begin. First, you must be curious that how the communication between the devices takes place. And some of you might be aware that whenever a device would like to communicate with the another, the communication may be sharing data, information, or any instruction, anything. So the device which is initiating means that device has something which is to be transferred to the another one. It means the device which is initiating data transfer, and that data transfer would be reached to the another device by the use of the buses only. About the buses, you are already studied that there are three types of buses: address bus, data bus, and the control bus. So buses are the via medium via which the devices can communicate. So the first device which is initiating the data at a given time, that is known as a bus master. Now, in a computer system, there may be more than one bus master. There may be various DMA controllers or processors. So what happened whenever these devices share the system bus, which is actually the address data and the control buses, then current master, whatever the who is having the control over there, so the current master bus that releases, and another will acquire the control of the processor. So this is how the communication takes place overall. It means you can say that bus arbitration, it is a process by which next device become the bus controller by transferring bus mastership to the another bus. Like if I am doing something, I have the full control and I am transferring you to the control, means now you will be the controller. Then this is the process of transferring the mastership, and that is known as the bus arbitration. And bus arbiter is one who decides who would become the current bus master. Now, you must remember that bus arbitration scheme, it will always try to balance the two factors which are very important factors. The factors are bus priority and the fairness. Bus priority means if there are various requests, then the request which is having the highest priority, that will be serviced first. It means the highest priority service is to be treated first, but there must be some fairness. Even if there are certain devices who are having the lowest priority, it doesn't mean that their turn will never will come. Means they will never be completely blocked from the buses. Even the bus devices who are having lowest priority, they will also get the chance of the bus control so that they can transfer the data or transfer the information. So bus priority and fairness, these are the two factors which must be kept in balance for the bus arbitration process. Now let's talk about the classification of the bus arbitration. There are two types of bus arbitrations basically. You can see over here, centralized arbiter and the distributed arbiter. Centralized arbiter is when there is a central processor, when there is a single processor. That means a single bus arbiter performs the required arbitration. And here bus arbiter may be a processor or a separate controller which is connected to the bus. But what happened in the case of the distributed arbitration? Here all devices participate in the selection of the bus master. Who will be the bus master? Means all the devices will communicate with each other and will keep sharing the control. So here I'll be talking in detail about the centralized arbitrator. So centralized arbitration processes where single bus arbiter performs the required arbitration, and this bus arbiter may be a processor or it could be a separate controller which is connected through the bus. And there are three possible types of arbitration schemes which comes into the category of centralized bus arbitration. So let's have a look about this particular classification. You can see in this particular diagram, centralized bus arbitration method or this particular process, it may be of three types: daisy chaining method, polling or rotating priority method, or fixed priority or independent request method. So I'll be talking in detail about all these three methods. First is the daisy chaining. It is a very simple and the cheaper method, and here all masters use the same line for making the bus request. Means there is a common bus line where all the devices will be putting their request. In case of polling or rotating priority method, here controller is used to generate the address lines. So here the function of controller, which is very important, and this controller is generating the address lines for the master. Like if there are 8 masters which are connected to the system, it means how many address lines are required? There are 3 address lines are required. Means 3 address lines means 8 possible combinations. 2 raised to the power 3 is coming out as what? 8. So accordingly, these many address lines are required for the polling. Next is the fixed priority or the independent request method. Here, each bus has its own bus request and grant lines. Means every device is having a dedicated set of pair for the request and grant. And there will be a built-in priority which will be available in the controller. So the built-in priority decoder will identify whose priority is the highest one, and from the available request, the highest priority request will be serviced first. So this is how fixed priorities or independent request method works. Now let us talk in detail about the daisy chaining method, how the diagram could be drawn. You can see over here, there is a controller. There are 2 lines, bus request and one is the bus busy. There are n masters starting from number 1 to up to n. There is a bus grant line also. As I've told you that in the case of the daisy chaining method, all the bus master use the same line for bus request. You can see this is the line which is used by all the bus masters. And there is a bus busy line also. So bus busy line, it will gives you the indication whenever this particular line is inactive, means there is no process. So when this line is inactive, the bus controller gives the bus grant signal. So when this is inactive, bus grant signal will be given to you. And here you can observe that bus grant signal that is propagated serially through all the masters. Means it started from this particular point, from first device, then first to second, then second to third, until the nth device. So here this bus grant signal that is propagated serially, and bus master which requires the system bus that stops the signal. If the master 2, it requires the system bus, then what it will do? It will stop this particular grant signal and it will activate the busy line. So when the busy line is activated, it means there is a grant being given to the master 2 and that particular process will takes place. So this is how you can explain the working of the daisy chaining method. Serially propagates the grant signal, you must remember it. This is what I have explained to you. I have just listed out over here. Now let's talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages. First, advantages. This particular method, this is very simple. You can see this is a very simple, only one bus request line, one busy line, right? Here, less number of control lines are required, one request, one busy. Scalability, it's a very important factor, which is the advantage for this particular system. And here user can add many more devices. Like if 10 devices, 10 masters were available, then you can add 10 more. You can add 20 more. But maximum value will be limited. So it's very easy to add multiple devices along the chain. So these are the various advantages. Some of the disadvantages. Here, priority assigned to a device, it depends upon the position. Means priority of getting grant for master 1 will be high in comparison to the master 10, depending upon the position. And because Here the devices are arranged in a serial order, means here the grant signal propagated serially, it means propagation delay it arises because bus granting is being done in a serial manner. And what happened in this particular case? If one device fails, in case of getting faulty one device, the entire system will stop working. The overall system will not be capable to perform. So these are the various disadvantages of the daisy chaining method. Second method, which is about the rotating priority method or the polling method. This is the diagram of that particular method. You can see over here, as I have told you, that here controller generates the address. So you can see there is a bus request. Bus request line is common for all the masters. And again here, n masters have been shown in this particular diagram, 1, 2, 3 up to n. Along with that bus request, there is a bus busy line also. And module access means address lines have been shown over here. So here what happens, all bus masters use the same line for the bus request as I've shown you over here, and this particular controller, it will generate binary address for the master. Means binary address how to be generated by the controller. Here suppose three address lines have been shown, the lines are A, B and this is C. So three address lines means 2 raised to the power 3, which is coming out as 8. It means 8 bus masters can be provided certain addresses. So controller generates 8 particular combinations corresponding to the bus masters. That is why this particular technique works. And when any master or some of the masters, they put a bus request, then this particular controller, it will do what? This controller polls the bus master by sending a sequence of the bus master address on the address lines. So out of these, the address is being sent on these address lines, and when the request matches, then it recognizes the address. Means if the you can say, for example, 001 is available over here and 001 is being assigned to the master 2, so it matches. It means now master 2 will get a control of the buses. Bus grant will be given to the master 2 and bus busy line will be active. If the address which is being available on the address lines, it matches with the master 10th, then grant will be given to the 10th device. So this is how it works. So the same I have listed out over here. You can take a note. There are some advantages. In this method, method does not favor for any particular device or processor, because here the controller will generate the binary address of the master and accordingly the grant will be provided. It is also a simple method, and in this particular case, if one device fails, then overall system will not stop working. Suppose one device will fail, then via available the address on the address lines, whatever the address matches with the corresponding available masters, that will get the control. So here, failure of one device is not going to impact the entire system. There are some disadvantages also. Here also we can add some of the devices, but adding devices or masters in a large number, it will increase the number of address lines, right? Because here you can see if 8 masters were available, 3 address lines were required. Now you can understand, suppose 100 masters is to be added, means 2 raised to the power 7. 7 address lines will be added over there. It will gives you the required value. So if you are going to increase so many number of lines, so many masters, it means it is going to impact the address lines of the circuit. So that is the limitation of this particular system. Third method is the independent request method. This is also one of the technique of the centralized bus arbitration. So here again I have taken master number 1, 2 up to n, and here you can observe that all bus masters have their individual bus request and grant line. Like master 1 is having bus request 1, bus grant 1. Master 2 is having another set. Master n is having another set. It means here the controller knows which master has requested. If master 2 has requested, so controller will get to know that there is a request coming from master 2 and the bus will be granted to the master 2. But what happen in case multiple masters have put their request, then priorities of the masters which are already defined or on simultaneously bus request or the bus will be granted depending upon the priority. And there must be a condition: the bus will be granted if and only if bus busy line is not active. Bus busy line active means the bus grant is already being done for certain master. There is some process being carried out. And this controller, the controller which consists over here, it consists of the encoder and decoder logic so that priorities can be identified. Which particular master is having the highest priority, and accordingly the grant will be given to them. So here, this is the advantage: individual bus request grant lines. So the access is very easy. Now let's talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages. Because dedicated pairs are there, it means it will gives you the fast response and speed independent of number of devices connected. Each and every is having a certain pair dedicated for them. So number of devices not going to impact the speed of the overall operation. These are the advantages. Some of the disadvantages also, because here you can see every master is having set of lines. It means if there are 100 masters, 200 control lines, so hardware cost will be increased because large number of control lines are used. And number of control lines which is required over here, that will going to impact large number of bus master, and that would be difficult to handle this particular kind of circuit. So these are the some of the disadvantages, or you can see the limitation. Thank you so much for watching this video.